Hey, Lit Set, it's Jasmine.
Hey, Lit Set, it's Nikia, and this is Black Girl Lit,
the podcast. We're a podcast now, guys.
Where Black girls are lit,
we get lit,
and we read lit.
This is Black Girl Lit, the podcast. Let me just say, hey, how y'all doing? Happy today, because I'm not sure what day it is that you're listening, but today is Wednesday for us. So whatever day that you're listening, happy that day for you. And welcome to a new episode of Black Girl Lit, the podcast. It's lit. So today we will be discussing How to Love a Jamaican by Alexia Arthurs. This was my pick. Oh, this is Jasmine. Hey y'all, I forgot to throw that part in there, but whatever. This is why I don't open. This is why I don't start. This is why I just sit in the back seat and ride. Anywho's, we'll be discussing that. It's my pick. I think this episode is going to be quite interesting just based on conversations that I've had with Nikia relating to this book so far. So you know what? Go ahead, get you a little get you a little sit down, get you a little beverage. Just buckle up and get ready for a ride because this is Black Girl Lit, the podcast. So Nikia, okay. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing good. You know, this past Friday, I celebrated Juneteens for the first time. So that was pretty dope. And I made a shirt in celebration of Juneteenth. We made some margaritas. I supported some Black businesses. I purchased from some Black businesses. I shared some in my stories. So I'm excited
to started a Black business.
Yeah, I did. Ellie Mae Designs. To honor my grandmother. I used to call her Ellie Mae, so I named it Ellie Mae Designs. And yeah, so I started Black business, supported Black business, celebrated Juneteenth. I also started listening to The Hate You Give on audiobook today, which I forgot, like, the premise. I forgot. Like, I had read the synopsis a while ago, but I had been waiting for this book for so long, and it finally became available. And I started listening to it, and it's just too close to home to stuff that was going on today. But Angie Thomas is such a great author and writer. I could not stop listening. Like, it's just written so well. But, you know, things are positive on the up and up. On the up and up for me, you know. Working out, you know.
Okay, sis.
And you?
You know, I'm out here just living, you know what I'm saying? I celebrated Juneteenth for the first time too. And by celebrated, we got food from a Black-owned restaurant. It was fried chicken, but that's because they got good fried chicken. I was not trying to perpetuate some stereotype. They just got good fried chicken. So, you know, we did that. And then, you know, did a little bit of adult things like possibly sign contracts for a house. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows what's happening here? We may or may not. We may or may not have signed a contract to buy a house. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm not sure what I did.
Maybe not sure. I don't know what I did because it still doesn't seem real to me. It won't be real. I mean, it will be real when they start taking that money from us, but as of right now, it doesn't seem real. It seems like just an idea. But other than that, you know, I've been good, just working. Just trying to separate work from like home sometimes because I've been working from home.
Right.
So trying to make sure I still have like lifetime out of, you know, at home and not just feel like my house is not my job kind of thing. And then also the fiance and I have started watching all of the Harry Potter movies. We just finished 5. So we have
3 more to go.
No, we just finished 6. Just finished the half.
Yeah, 2 more.
6. So yeah, we have the last 2 Deathly Hallows. These movies are dark, and I don't know why. I don't understand the hype. I mean, I get the hype because the movies are good, but they're dark and sad. But anywho, so that's a conversation for another day. But I'm doing good, so that's all I got.
Woo. Yeah, and I'm done eating my chicken and waffles now, so we can get into this thing.
Yes, I'm low-key jealous that you have chicken and waffles. They look delicious.
All right, y'all, let's get into the thick of it. I'm going to start with the first segment, which is about the author. So I am happy with this segment today because finally I have an author that gave me some information about themselves. Like, oh my goodness. It's been such a long time. Okay. So, and Alexia, she wrote this on her website. So it has a lot of I's in it. So if I stumble, that's why. But it says that she was born in Mandeville, Jamaica, and moved to New York when she was 12 with her mother. Like many immigrant mothers, believed that she could provide a better life for her 3 children in the States. So as a child, moving to the United States was a fulfilled dream because Alexia had observed that everyone believed that the U.S. was superior to any other place in the world. Awkward pause. The realities were different and painful, and she was navigating the distance from the country of her childhood and the fact that her family wanted so badly to build a future in a country that was unwelcome to foreigners. As she grew, in some ways, she recognized herself as American and in others as Jamaican. Over time, she started to explore the tension of belonging and distance through her writing. She started writing How to Love a Jamaican when she was 24 and finished when she was 28. The first book that inspired her as a reader and a writer was The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. I was confident at first, and then I lost my confidence. And it was the first time she read a book that reflected her urban immigrant life and the kinds of people she knew. She teaches fiction when she has the opportunity, and she's taught high school students at the Iowa Young Writers Studio, undergraduates at the University of Iowa, and facilitated a graduate workshop at the Iowa Writers Workshop during fall 2018. And fun fact, she lives with 2 Persian cats, Couscous, who is 12 years old, and Fable, who is a few months old, and they make her smile every day.
Aww.
And back to Alexia. I'm just happy that I have a full bio. Like, I had to cut stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we haven't, like you said, we haven't had a full bio in a very long time. Like, people just give quick little snippets about themselves. No, I want to know the tea, sis. Exactly. I want to know the tea.
And that is Alexia Arthurs, the author of How to Love a Jamaican Stories. And now we're going to go where Jasmine flourishes and thrives if this were a 1-story novel, but we'll see how she does with these multiple stories. And she's going to synopsisize How to Love a Jamaican Stories.
Stories. Yes, come along with me while I synopsisize How to Love a Jamaican Stories. So this book is a anthology that is a collection of 11 short stories. Some of them I was like, is this a short story? Because what is the definition of a short story truly? Because some of them things were long, especially the last 2, the last 3 or 4. The last half of the book, I was like, these ain't short. One of them had like 2 parts to it, but I digress. Either way, it is a collection of different stories telling different perspectives of different Jamaicans who still live in their homeland of Jamaica, some who have come over to America, and just talking about their different experiences and different connections and what it means to them to be Jamaican, as well as their heritage. Again, it's a collection of short stories, and some of the short stories range from different topics, and we'll dive into those a little bit more about some of the topics that you can find within the novel itself, as well as those short stories. But with you, it's a collection of short stories about Jamaican folk, and that is the synopsis of How to Love a Jamaican Stories. I should also note that when I picked this, again, I didn't read the synopsis when I selected it. So I was not aware that it was a collection of short stories until it was too late and we had already selected and it was already on our list. So there's that. But go ahead. Now I guess we'll go into reactions.
So I started taking notes during the first story. And I thought that was going to be what the whole book was about. So that's what my notes. I wrote, so Kimberly is woke. I wrote, I love that they mentioned the bluest eye. And I love that they discussed the importance of female relationships. But then I started reading. I was like, hold on, this is a man talking. So my reaction was like, this is stories? And I had to go back because in the book cover, the word stories is like hidden in the cover. And sometimes like when you look for it, it doesn't say How to Love a Jamaican Stories. It just says How to Love a Jamaican. So my initial reaction, I was in love with it, like the first story. And then it changed on me. And I was like, what is going on? And then I got it together and I was able to like listen to the different stories. And I don't know if this is an initial reaction, but at the end, I was appreciative that we got so many different views. Like we got views of different ages, different genders, different sexual orientations, people who stayed in Jamaica, people who left Jamaica and came back, people who left Jamaica and never came back. We had educated, not so educated. It was very well rounded. And I also enjoyed that they use Patois. I think that's how you say it. And the characters spoke in Patois. So, yeah, those are my reactions.
Okay. So for me, my first reaction was, why did we pick another anthology style book when it should have been me? Should not have been we. It should have been me, but I put we. But whatever. I don't understand how it happened again. But I will say, similar to, well, not similar, but I love that they did write that some of the dialogue was in Patois. And I found myself, when I was reading those sections, I found myself reading them in my own Jamaican accent in my head, and it was terrible. My Jamaican accent is trash, but I was doing it. And those are my favorite parts of the stories, was to come to some section when they were speaking in Patois, just so I could read it out loud in my little Jamaican accent. Again, my Jamaican accent was trash. But I definitely enjoyed that part. But similar to Ikea, I did like the range of stories told. I enjoy that some were a little bit more, I guess, lighthearted than others. They all had a lot of substance and a lot of depth to them, but there were some that were a little bit, air quotes, lighthearted. And like you said, they just touched on so many different issues within the story. I will say that at times it got a little confusing when I was reading some of the stories, because I'm like, it kind of just picks up in the middle of a situation sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this person who's telling me this story. I need a little bit more background. And then some of the stories kind of left me wanting more. And I'm like, I need more resolution than what you gave me. Like, I need to understand what's going to happen now, what happens next. And some of them are just finished in a good way that I was comfortable going on to the next story. But overall, that's my reaction to How to Love Jamaican Stories.
Yeah, I agree, Jazz. The Patois was my favorite part. Like I could just hear it in my head. I just think the way Jamaicans talk is sexy. I may not understand nothing you're saying, but baby.
I agree. I concur with that statement.
We are going to now move on to major scenes and topics.
Scenes and topics. I got excited there. I didn't really list any major scenes just because of the styling of the book. I just felt like it's kind of hard to pull major scenes. But I did list the topics for some of my favorite stories. So obviously my first favorite story is the first one, Light Skin Girls and Kelly Rowland's. And I think that touched on like friendships, dynamics, interracial relationships, also classism, because there was a definite class difference between the two characters in the story. And then I liked Mashup Love, which is the second one, because that touched on familial relationships and like especially for twins, and how that kind of relates. I'm obviously an only child, so I really have no clue what it means to be a sibling. So I definitely have no clue what it means to be a twin, but I assume that can be probably a complex relationship. And then I liked Bad Behavior. That one got some trash mamas in it. Mermaid River was good. It touched on again, not necessarily trash mamas, but kind of trash mamas.
Mermaid River was so confusing to me. Oh my god.
Mermaid River was confusing because he bounced around a lot,
girl.
But at the end, it came together for me. But in terms of like topics, it's just a lot of different things. Like he said, sexuality, people struggling, mainly familiar relationships. There's a lot of people struggling with their family relationships, primarily with their mothers, especially in We Eat Our Daughters. What were your seeds and topics while I try to gather my thoughts again?
Well, so one of my favorite stories was Light Skin Girls and Kelly Rowland. I also enjoyed Shirley from a Small Place, the last one. That one was like really good. and also the Ghost of Jai. That one was a little,
Yes.
it was different. I thought I was gonna go a little deeper. And what was the one where she was in school in Iowa? No, the one where she was getting her PhD.
Is that on the shelf? On shelf?
Yeah, on shelf. I like that one too. So for me, some major scenes and topics, well, major topics were the idea of like home and family and belonging, because a lot of these characters, I think a majority of the stories, the characters either visited the United States or immigrated to the United States, or at least went to school there, and having to feel at home in the States and also feel at home when they come back to Jamaica after being in the States. And Jazz mentioned this, like family dynamics with mothers, like that mother relationship was very important. There were not a lot of father figures that I can like, that really stick with me and jump out. But it was a lot of like mothers, and mothers being overbearing, what I would perceive as overbearing and very involved. But like reading it, it seems like that's a part of Jamaican culture. Like your mother is supposed to be a part of your life. And like one of the characters in the last story, Shirley, she's famous, and she like tells her assistant, like, I'll be happy once my mother dies, or something like that. Like, or I don't know if it's that story, but there's one character in one of the stories who's like, I will be at peace when my mother's died. She'll feel free. Which after reading all the stories, like I get what she was saying. Oh no, that was the one where she was running track. Then also family dynamics, like there's a lot of cheating, stepping out on your spouse, having other families in other places. I was like, does that happen a lot in Jamaican culture?
So I've always heard like jokes about how Jamaican men are Rolling Stones, but I just thought that was just jokes, because it's just jokes, and how that. But according to this, not according to this, like not that say that this is the truth, because but still, it was definitely very prevalent within this book.
Lord, knocked over my light. And then,
but yeah,
so
I think
the last, I have one more thing. So also to tie in with like the mothers and being overbearing, it's also a battle between like self-care and pleasing your family. Like, should I do what I want to do, that what makes me happy, or should I do something that makes my family, or more so my mother, happy? And just trying to figure out what you want to do for yourself. And I feel like the only person who really did what they wanted to do for themselves was the character in On Shelf. She was the only one who was like, I don't care, I'm 40, I'm gonna get my PhD, I want to do what makes me happy, I'm not worried about marriage, and my friends are unhappy in their marriages anyway. So yeah.
I will say one of the books one of the stories that was interesting to me was Bad Behavior. That's the one where the girl gets sent to Jamaica because she was behaving bad, because she got caught in school doing things.
Yeah.
And I think that like her parents made her out to be such this like a really terrible like child when she was just being a teenager. She was literally just being a teenager, but because of the cultural things, and I think her mother's own generational curses of dealing with her mother, didn't have the proper conversations with her about how to be in the world, I guess you could say, and interacting with people. And it was really interesting how that was kind of like you said, just these relationships with our mothers was like a really big theme. Was familiar with relationships as they, relate to the mothers. And it was just a common theme, like in Mermaid River, his relationship with his mother and grandmother were really different. I don't know. I just feel like it makes me want to go to Jamaica a little bit and just to understand the culture, like real Jamaica, and understand the culture a little bit more, and like talk to someone. Because when I really think about it, I don't know anybody from Jamaica who's like actually Jamaican. So I would like to talk to them and learn a little bit more about their experiences. But I don't know. It was different. It was different to read, especially because I thought that the first story, it set a certain tone, I think. Like you said, I thought that the book was going to be, well, one, I thought it was going to be just a novel about maybe a Jamaican girl trying to find love. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a Jamaican girl or a Jamaican guy trying to find love, but that's not what it was. And then after reading the first story, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it'll touch on these issues of like woman issues, or just existing within racism, trying to I don't know, not even really than racism, because that story doesn't have a lot of racism. It's just more so one of the girls is dating a white guy and she's trying to, her friend doesn't understand why she's dating white guys. And then I get to the second story, and that's the twin hating his brother, and I'm like, what's the common theme here? What was the common? I couldn't find the common thread initially between the stories, but then as you kind of continue to read, you realize that it's kind of there within the familial relationships, mothers, and then everyone trying to find their own, being comfortable within themselves and their own connection to Jamaica. But yeah.
But I think to that point, to what you said about you couldn't find the common theme, I think that's the point, and maybe one of the things that the stories are trying to get at is that there's not one way to be Jamaican. There's not one way to love a Jamaican. They are multifaceted. They all have different experiences. It's kind of like how people, conflate different racial groups into, one thing, like all Black people are loud and ghetto. But that's not true. Yes, that is some people's experience, and I'm sure, I don't know any personally, I'm sure there's some stereotypes about Jamaican and island culture and things like that. And, I feel like the author, she was telling her experience and also saying like, there's so many ways to experience being Jamaican. And this YouTuber I was watching, he went live last night, and he said he was looking for somebody, he was hiring somebody for his team. And he said he was looking for somebody that understood his Black experience. And that resonated with me because, we always say you don't understand the Black experience, but there's not one the Black experience. We all have our own experiences and different things that come with us. Jasmine's experience is not the same as mine. There are some places that, cross over, but when you take it apart, we have two different experiences. Yes, we are Black, and there are some things that we can come together on, like arresting Breonna Taylor's killers. But
there we go.
There's some areas that are just very different, and and even to the little stuff, like even in the way that Jasmine and I talk, like you can hear it in our voices. Our experiences are different. We grew up around different people talking differently, having different conversations. And I just said all that to say that, this book really is just, I feel like for me, it's about finding out where you belong, defining the meaning of home, and just accepting that all experiences from one group or one culture is not the same.
No, that's really good. And look at you schooling me in my idea and my thinking and saying that this just shows that not every Jamaican experience is the same experience. That was really good. That was really, really good.
Jasmine making me feel smart.
You are, cuz. Like, no, that's actually really true and really valid. I didn't even think about that, because like I said, I was trying to find some common thread, what ties all these things together, but it doesn't have to be tied together. They're all individual stories about people experiencing different things within their life. They just all happen to be Jamaican. That's right. The common thread. Exactly. So that's some deep shit, sis. Some real deep shit. So what was your your favorite story was On Shelf?
No. Shirley from a Small Place.
Shirley from a Small Place.
I don't know why. I was like, oh, this is so dope. Like, the character is a celebrity. She's rich. Like, she bought her mama a house, but then she's also dealt with drugs, and but then she also came into this thing where she was accepting of her sexuality and her body, and was like, I'm okay with it. Like, if I'm gonna be in a string bikini or in a G-string on an album cover, then that's gonna be it. And who's gonna say anything about it? Like, she was just very, I appreciate that she was accepting of herself. But then at the end, all these stories are kind of sad. They never really end on a high note. But then at the end of her story, it was just like her mom was looking at her and like, the people see her as this big person, but in this bed, she's so small, and she's not the same Shirley that I knew, that I raised. And the mother starts to question the decisions that she made for her daughter. And, and Shirley is just really, she's really this small person that's just projecting this mask and this big personality. It's just so much going on in that story. And I wasn't expecting it after reading all the other ones. But like I said, it's so many perspectives. And I appreciate that there's so many different perspectives, from super rich to poor to famous, unknown, people going to college, cheating on their husbands, cheating on their wives. It's a lot, but that one is probably my favorite. What about you?
Oh. Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna Lights and Girls and Kelly Rowlands.
Okay.
I appreciated that one. Because I think I like the comparison between I hate that I can't remember none of the characters' names.
Oh, her name was Kimberly. Because I said
Kimberly
she
and her
was
friend's name was didn't read the book at all.
Cecilia.
There we go. Kimberly and Cecilia. Sorry. Kimberly was, living with her mother, just going to school, kind of like a scholarship student, where Cecilia was upper middle class.
They were both Jamaican, though.
They were both Jamaican, and their experiences as being Jamaican were completely different. And I appreciated that. Cecilia was dating white guys. Kimberly was like, "Nah, I'm not with that white sauce." And it was, it was just really interesting, and also just kind of seeing how they were able to become friends, because the way that the story's told, you're thinking like, how do these two girls even become friends? And then their friendship kind of falls apart because you realize their values, their ideological views were completely different, and how they looked at things. And I really appreciated Kimberly calling her friend out when she used that boy to get back at her ex-boyfriend, particularly using the black guy to get back at her white boyfriend. I appreciate her calling her out on that, and it was like, nah, that was fucked up. Like, you can't do that, because her friend didn't realize that. Like, I think she realized it, but I think she didn't care. And I think just something like now, when we're going through this kind of thing globally, where everyone is trying to appreciate their blackness, it just seemed like Cecilia just didn't. I hate to say it, but didn't feel like she appreciated her blackness, and didn't really see herself as black just based on how she was raised.
Right.
And I think I just resonated more with Kimberly's character than I did Cecile. But that was my favorite.
All right, so usually we have sips, but we don't have no sips, so we're gonna skip on over that, and we're gonna go to the best part of this show, where we rate.
Usually we have sips.
Sometimes I don't have any tea about this book. I try to do personal sips, but I don't have anything. But we do have a rating system. Rating system. We have sober, 1 flame emoji, whack. We have buzzed, which is 2 flame emojis, which means kind of feeling it, kind of like it. Okay. Then we have tipsy, which is 3 flame emojis, which I was on Juneteenth after drinking 4 margaritas. And then we have lit, which is 4 flame emojis, which is how I was on Father's Day for the 2nd year in a row.
I didn't talk to you on Father's Day, so I wasn't aware of your litness on Father's Day.
Yeah.
What is it about Father's Day that gets you so lit?
I don't know. I'm just happy to have a good husband that's a good father, and a father that's a good father, I guess. I don't know, girl. I don't know.
Okay, girl.
I don't know. But this is Jasmine's book, so she has to rate first.
I do have to rate first. Okay, so I gotta rate first. And I should probably tell you that I hadn't even thought about my reading, because I think sometimes it's hard to rate books like this, because it just, each story is so different, but we can't rate each story because that would take too long. So as a whole, I'm gonna give the book a tipsy.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a tipsy. It's more like a tipsy lit. I feel like it could be lit. Maybe it is lit. Is it lit? It might be lit. It could be lit. It probably is lit. Wait, hold on. I should have probably done this earlier, but I'm never prepared.
It's okay.
I'm gonna give it a lit now. Let's go with lit. Let's just say it's a lit book, okay? Because one, I enjoyed reading it. 2, it caused me to think. There's a lot of different things, and we didn't discuss it all here, but there's a lot of things within each story to unpack. And I think I'm gonna have to go back and reread some of these stories again to fully comprehend and understand the subject matter and the content, and get to the depth of some of these stories. Because there was coming to a point like where I hate to say it, rushed through a couple of the stories just because I can finish so that we could do our recording. So I don't think I fully appreciated them. But based on the stories that I did read, based on what I do know, I definitely think it's a lit book. And I think also talking to Daki and having this conversation has moved it over to Lit Sci to point out, like I already said this, but to point out that these are different perspectives of Jamaican characters. They all do not have the same experience. And I think this was a great way of showcasing that, and just showcasing that just because people have something in common, their experiences are completely different and how they handle things are completely different. And I also just like to having this glimmer into Jamaican culture, because I personally know nothing about Jamaican culture. All I know is that's where Stella went to get her group back. So I don't much else about Jamaica. Also, they have a bobsled team. I learned that from Cool Running. So everything I apparently know about Jamaica is based on movies. That's not good. So this helped me to learn a little bit more. So with all of that said, sis gonna give it a lid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a lid. I had to think about it. I had to make sure I still agree with that. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a lid. All right, let's go to Nikki. We have a definite answer.
So yesterday, I rated this. Whenever I finish reading a book, I try to rate it on Goodreads and write reviews or whatever. So yesterday on Goodreads, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And I did mention in my review that I needed to come back after like sitting with the stories for a little bit, because just a lot going on. And I did go back and change my rating on Goodreads to 5 stars. So for me, this book is definitely a lit. And I think this is a book you do have to sit with for a little bit and just really kind of, mull over it, let it marinate, let it sit with you. But like I said, the thing I love the most is just the different perspectives, that all the narrators are not women, all of them are not straight, and they all have these different experiences, and you get a glimpse into the culture, and you get to read some patois, which is not so hard to understand when you read it, but I'm sure when I hear it, I'll be like, okay. But this book is definitely a lit from me.
Yay! Look at that. Look at that double lid. I was waffling there for a second. But it's good to know that you waffled a little bit too. Yours just wasn't on
Oh yeah,
camera. I wasn't on the podcast like mine. I went through an active waffling. You guys heard my so yeah.
Yeah, yesterday I didn't know what I would rate it on the Black Girl Lit scale. And I felt bad for even giving it a rating yesterday on Goodreads, because I was like, I'm not even sure yet, because I just want to sit and kind of go back and look at stuff. But now that I've had that time and did that, yeah, definitely a lit book. So y'all should definitely read it. Check it out. Jazz, you did good, son. You did.
I did good. I did good.
Yeah. But I think that's it what we have for this book, y'all. But we have one of my favorite marketing tools used for books coming up, and it's a YA lit book, and it's called Slay by Brittany Morris, and it's about this teenager who creates like an underground video game. Super cool, super cool. So we got some YA. We need something a little light, because of life and the times.
Is this going to be like, I feel like this could be some dark something where she gets sucked into the video game and the video game characters are racist.
I mean, there's a little bit of racism in there, but I mean, hey.
Okay, great. So it's not light.
And then after that, we have another compilation book chosen by Jazz called Difficult
Once again,
Women.
I didn't read, okay? I did not read the synopsis. I need to start reading synopsis. I will tell you guys, going into season 4, all synopsis being read before selection.
And then our last book for this season is another YA book, because I chose it. And it's called A Girl Like That by Tanaz Bathina. I think I did that. I'm going to make sure I pronounce that correctly when we do that episode.
Okay,
but I got my
y'all can see her, she got her robe on her shoulders right now, like James Brown.
I'm in the basement. It's cold, so yeah.
I mean, I have a sweatshirt, but in a muumuu, so I get it.
Yeah. Anywho, I don't have anything else to say. That's all I got for this episode. Jess, you got anything for the good of the order? Oh no, I do have something to say.
I was gonna say, girl, what you been doing in your sweatshop?
Yes, in my one woman sweatshop, I have been working on Black Girl Lit, the podcast merch. So we have t-shirts, crop tops, and acrylic wine tumblers for sale. The link will be in the description box. It'll be in our bio. But all you have to go, this is blackgirllit.com, right?
Yes. This is blackgirllit.com. Because we got a domain name. What? We official, bitch. We Yes, get some of my merch, especially the wine tumblers, because you can't be Black Girl Lit if you're not getting lit. So
Right.
you need to have a Black Girl Lit tumbler so you can hold your libations in it while you get lit, reading lit, being lit.
Yeah, so check out our Instagram page. We'll post some stuff up there, order from us, all that jazz, all that. I'm excited. I've been working hard. These were handmade by me, y'all.
Handmade with love.
So each
handmade
one,
with love.
they look the same, but all of them got a little slight difference, because each one was individually cut, weeded, pressed onto the shirt by me.
In her one-woman sweatshop. No, I know for real, I appreciate Nakia and her one-woman sweatshop because I literally only had to swipe for this, and she has been taking care of everything. Extremely hard, super diligent, has been on top of this. I'm super excited for this phase for us. I think it's going to be a bomb-tastic. So y'all just go ahead, come support us financially.
And it's a limited collection.
Limited. So once it's gone, sis. Okay, maybe not. It depends. But once it's gone, it's going to be gone until we decide what we want to do next. Exactly. So come get you some. Come get you some of this merchandise.
Yes,
Wear that Black Girl Lit shirt. Wear that Black Girl Lit crop top. Sip out of that Black Girl Lit tumbler.
And depending on how well this goes, maybe we'll have to re-up and take some pre-orders for this. This is our summer collection because I'm already in the works for a winter collection, so
just got ideas. And also don't just support Black Girl Lit, support LMA Designs. Okay, get all up in there. Okay, no, I'm not even trying to be funny. Sis makes good stuff. She made me a really nice vinyl for my flask, so my flask is bougie. But, yeah, that's all we have to add. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
Stay Black Girl Lit.
That's all I have to say about that. Like Forrest Gump.
Stay Black Girl Lit, y'all.
Stay Black Girl Lit out these streets, okay?
That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating and a top-notch review to get us to the top review page on iTunes. And be sure to follow us and listen on SoundCloud.